All right, you guys, we're back today. We're going to give you some more. We're going to get deeper into a lot of the topics that we covered yesterday. I know we put a lot out there, but we're just so excited, I think, to share the story. And it's been a long time coming. So today we're going to get deep into Skylar's childhood. We're gonna get into the root, start from the bottom and work our way up. So I'm gonna let Skylar kind of take the reins today and walk us through what it was like to be teenage Skylar.
So my mom has always been the example of what hard work is and what sacrifice is and what it means to be there for the children, but it sucks being a single mom because at the times I go to school, I come home, she goes to work, I watch my brothers. By the time she comes home, I'm sleeping and then do it all over again. So even though she was there financially, but she couldn't so much be there as spending time with each other.
For sure.
And just being that person in our lives to where we could just, of course we had game nights and stuff like that, but there's only so much you can do with one parent, when they have to provide for you. They got 3 boys, you gotta feed them, you gotta clothe them, you gotta house them. So.
Okay, well, we are back with an honorable guest here. I will let Skylar introduce little Mr. Handsome here.
Say hello, my name is Jeremiah.
Are you excited? Who is Jeremiah?
Jeremiah is my son, 8 months old.
He's saying hi.
Yes, sir.
He wanted to be in our video, so he's gonna be in here with you guys. So, but right back from where we were going, talking about your mom and what it's like to be a single mom. I think it's actually very popular nowadays to be a single mom and have multiple kids, and sometimes even work 2 jobs, or just that one job that maybe you work 12-hour days. You're providing for your family because that's what you have to do. What do you think? From your mom's lens, and maybe you and her have had this talk, or even if not, what's your idea of what do you think was going through her head when you started getting into trouble?
That's a good question. I mean, probably just worried, considering what the path that my dad chose, and probably seeing me start to drift and wander that way. We'll just say worried.
Yeah.
I know I broke her heart multiple times. So.
What was it like when, obviously, I remember personally, her trying to get a hold of you and trying to find you, from your end, when your parent is trying to find you and you're answering the phone, hey, yeah, what's up? What was that like? What were you thinking?
Oh shoot, my mom's calling. It was I was just lying about what I was doing, where I was at, who I was with, saying everything right that I needed to say just to be able to hang up the phone and get back to what I was doing.
Right.
So.
Right. Do you think it weighed heavier on her knowing, seeing, what your dad had gone through, what happened with your dad?
Yeah, I'm sure it played a huge role. And growing up as a boy, every boy needs their father, so being a woman, there's only so much you can do,
right.
From both sides. There's a family for a reason, a mom, a dad, and a child. And every role has a part to play. And when there's one missing, it's no matter what a woman does, she'll never be able to fulfill a man's role in the child's life. And same for the husband or father. He'll never be able to be that nurturer as the mother could be. So it's just a balance to it, and we're just missing that.
Of course, I know so much about you, but to let the people that are watching this story and listening, would you, can you share a little bit more about your dad and kind of what happened?
I mean, when I think about my parents as a whole, I had to been anywhere between 4 or 5. I just remember them getting a huge fight, punching holes in the wall. And then before you know it, she took us, me and my brother, and we left. And then every time after that, it was we would go see him on the weekends, and then he would get caught smoking weed. I would say I smelled something funny. I didn't know what the smell was. I never knew what weed was. But then that was the moment where it started for being let down. It was just and he was very angry, aggressive, just pretty mean, you know. So I remember he would come over at times, and I would see his car pull up, and I would wait for him to come inside, and I would hop on the roof and jump off the roof and run away. I didn't want to speak to him. I didn't want to see him for many years. So I just basically, I grew up hating him. Like when he passed away, I went to a funeral. I didn't cry. You know, I was more just like, whatever. You know, and then I think that was one of the biggest steps, was letting go of all that hate towards him. I remember it was like maybe like 4 or 5 years after he died. I was in the closet just crying, and I finally just yelled, "I forgive you," you know. And then from that moment, I let all that negativity out, all that energy that was being useless to me. Kind of just let it go and just made amends, and that was like huge for me.
Right. Do you think having gone down the road that you went down, did that give you any understanding or, you know, any view of maybe what your dad was going through?
Well, I mean, he went through his own struggles, you know. He's told me that he was, you know, molested at a young age. He's went through like traumatic things in his life that made him who he was. And so it's obvious a person who uses drugs has issues that they haven't dealt with.
Sure.
And you don't always get a chance to dig deep into those, you know. I remember I was in rehab for the first time. I haven't talked to him for like 3 or 4 years. And somebody said, just answer, just talk to him. I said, fine, whatever, I'll talk to him. I pick up the phone and I talk to him. He says that he just got out of this treatment center. He's doing much better. He asked me what drugs I was doing. I told him I was doing Oxycontin. I was smoking it. And the conversation ended, and then 3 days later, I found out that he overdosed on Oxycontin. So this drug he's never done before. So for the longest time, I felt that I was the cause to his death. I know I'm not responsible for that today, but that's always been in the back of my mind.
I think, you know, and I'm not a parent, so I don't have, you know, a blessing like this to show me these ropes, but, you know, just from my own experiences, I think as a parent, it's so easy to put blame on yourself. You know, it's so easy, like, oh, you know, my kid is doing this or that, you know, that must be my fault. I didn't teach them right, or I neglected an area where they could grow here. And so naturally, of course, that goes both ways. You know, as the parent, you think it's your fault, but as the kid, you also think it's your fault. And so, you know, I think it's important to understand, like, yes, like you said, today you understand that was not your fault, but I think it's important for, you know, everybody else too that might have experienced that or is going through those feelings, to know that, yes, like today, you know, those things are not your fault, and people have their own struggles that they you know, navigate through in their own ways. And now you get to be a daddy. Huh. So talk to us about that. What is it like now for you to be a dad, coming from, you know, just everything that you've been through? Now you have this little Mr. Handsome that you're responsible for.
It's one of the best things I've ever received is a son. So before he was born, I had a couple businesses running, and then my fiance, we decided that I would become a stay-at-home dad. So being able to be here with him in the ways that I didn't get is the biggest reward. He just changed my life. He's made me want to be so much better, so much bigger than who I thought I could become.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he motivates me. I just want to give him love that I never had. I know how important a father figure can be, and I don't want him to not have that. So
Definitely, and I could say, you know, it's so special to watch you be a dad now and see, you know, all that you've been through, and get to watch you be this dad and such a good dad, singing poopy diaper songs, taking him for walks. You know, I think from my end, like, and probably from other people too, but you know, like there's times when, you know, you're waiting for that call, like, you know, like you said, all of a sudden you find out, you know, people overdose and they die. And I remember for me, like, I was like, man, I have a feeling I'm gonna get that call one day. Like, you know, my friend, he's missing, and but you found your way. And I
wipe the tears.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, get it together. Get it together.
It's too early in the episode.
Yeah.
You gotta get
Can't
to
be
it.
doing this on the second one. Oh, yikes! And I'm an ugly crier. But you know, I know, like I mean, like I said, like just having you in my life always grew my faith in God. Just because, you know, I was praying to God just to hear from you. Sometimes I was praying to God, like, oh God, please let Skylar find his way. Like, please, you know, just get him through this time, and you know, keep him, like, just get him on your path. And so to see this just alone like that, like, thank you. But yeah, it's a miracle, and that's God's work in itself. So, all right, so we had to take a little pause there. I had to go clean myself up, but we're not going to cut you short, okay? I still, you know, I want to hear about how important it is now for you to be a fiance, you know, becoming a husband. You know, what does that look like? How do you create this man?
You know, being a husband to me is, as crazy as it sounds, is number one before him. Mm-hmm. You know, like she comes first and then he comes. Mm-hmm. And to be able to have a relationship with someone that you can trust, be faithful with, and count on, and build a future with, there's nothing like it.
Right.
And not only that, we have a child, a son, and so it makes it so much bigger than just what I imagined, what I could have imagined my life turning out to be.
Right.
Family is something that's very important to me.
Would you say that, you know, this relationship that you're in now is by far the healthiest relationship that you've ever been in?
Yeah, so once I found God and gave my life to Christ, it's kind of like...
Bless you. Oh, bless you.
Thank you for that. Appreciate that. The main thing is having a relationship. That's the foundation of the relationship is Christ. Mm-hmm. And so we both believe in God, which is number one for me. So
yeah.
During the application process, do you believe in God? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Send it through.
Yes.
But she exceeded everything. Like, she came in and just out of nowhere. I wasn't looking for a relationship. She wasn't looking for a relationship. I didn't want one. She didn't want one. And just instantly, when I seen her, I was like, God told me that's who you're gonna marry. Uh-huh. I'm like, really? Okay. And then, of course, I didn't want to say, hey, God's gonna tell you. God told me that I'm gonna marry you.
Just in case you were wondering.
But then that was like, when I heard that, it was like 2 weeks, 3 weeks before I even spoke to her. Mm-hmm. And then out of nowhere, she hit me up to get on the meal prep service, which she said she didn't know I was the one who ran the company. But from there, I had her number. Uh-huh. And I'd run into her at the gym, and then when we first started meeting, it was just talking about God and God this, God that, and just having a friendly friendship, you know. And then just couldn't help it. God just kept leading us closer and closer. Before you know it, we're living in a house, we have a baby, we're getting married. It's a crazy story.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. What do challenges and overcoming challenges look like for the both of you, you know, working together?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Like, you know, every day, you know, there's stresses in relationships, whether they're financial or becoming new parents together. You know, anything that may have, you know, been a challenge. How did you guys work together through that? If you haven't experienced any yet, then God bless you.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, we work so good together as a team. Like, there's been like lack of sleep, you know, when you get a newborn. That's, of course, is gonna happen. You can get irritated with each other. But at the end of the day, like, if something happens, we resolve it instantly. If not like that moment, within like 5 minutes later, we make amends and move on.
Yeah.
So like, we don't really. So far, we have never dragged one situation to the next day.
It's awesome.
It's the best. It's crazy.
Yeah. Were you hesitant to tell her about your past when you had first met?
No. She was like, I can't believe you just told me all this. I wasn't hesitant. I'm not ashamed of where I came from or what made me into the person I am. You know. I think if anything, it just shows like what type of man I really am, you know.
Right,
even
absolutely.
though I went through a lot of things, I've overcome them. And I mean, sure, on her end, she's probably thinking, man, this guy's got tattoos all over his body. He's doing this, that.
So basically, you know, what's important to you is to, you know, stay transparent and be your true self and to live true within your truth and what you stand for. That's what I'm hearing. And I think there's no better example, especially as far as being, you know, a partner and, you know, a lover, a father, you know, all those things, those really include and have to embody transparency. So I think that's awesome that even, you know, this is like the first run through and you've got a lot of boxes checked off. So that's good, huh? That's good. Well, I think we dove deep today. Hopefully you got a message. Hopefully something spoke to you, spoke to your heart, spoke to your mind, spoke to, you know, anything. We got a lot of things coming. This is going to be quite the project. We're really excited about it to just get these messages out and provide that, you know, the image of hope and an example. So thank you. Say bye.
Bye-bye.